block horsepower, the Super Sport option came with a luxurious interior with all the things muscle car buyers expected now, like a tack, dual exhausts, and sport wheel covers. Chevy also added the other ingredient which would make the Super Sport Chevelle a winner. Loaded with options, the car costs just about $3,500. 1967 offered little change except to drop the 325-horse engine in favor of a 350-horse version. By now, the SS396 Chevelle was well established as a full-on street fighter. Where the Buick GS and the Olds 442 offered layers of luxury, the Chevelle SS was a straightforward, go-fast machine.
This thing, when you really get on it, it's just it's a feeling like you don't get from driving a small V8 or these V6s. It's just no feeling like this thing.
There was never any question that Chevy's muscle car would be a performance leader, but you could also count on Chevrolet to make sure all the comfort and luxury options anyone could ever want were always available on the Super Sport. From 1966 through 1969, Chevy would sell almost 285,000 SS396 Chevelles, and they would continue to improve the car every year in every way. The Super Sport Chevelles were everything muscle cars were supposed to be. Fast, great-looking, affordable, and tremendously popular. In fact, the SS396 logo badge was such a popular nameplate that this remained the car's name even after the engine was enlarged to 402 cubic inches in early 1969.
And then when you went ahead and put that 396 in the early days of the Chevelle, the SS Chevelle, you had a terrific car at a very, very affordable price.
But in 1970, the streets were shaking from a whole new wave of muscle cars. Led by Chrysler with their 440 Magnum engine, there was a mad rush to stuff these cars with the biggest engines that would fit under their hoods. When we return, the muscle car wars escalate into the cubic inch wars. Between 1966 and 1969, the SS396 Chevelle had evolved from a cute little runabout to serious, no-nonsense street machine. The 350-horse 396 was a match for most of the hardware on the street, and the 375-horse motor, with a little tuning, could be a 13-second drag strip screamer. But by 1970, the 396 had become one of the smallest muscle car motors on the street. The new standard for engine sizes was now somewhere between 440 and 460 cubic inches. The Super Sport Chevelle was coming dangerously close to being the little guy on the block again, just like they were in 1964. So in response to all those 455 engine badges on their sister cars from Buick, Olds, and Pontiac, Chevy reacted just like they did in '65 and reached for the biggest engine they had.
Everybody in the industry who was building a performance car was now building it with a big block. The displacement figures went up dramatically in 1970. Virtually everybody in General Motors went to 455 cubic inches. So at 454, Chevrolet was very competitive with the LS6.
Since its birth as the Mark II 427, the engine that had stood the stock car racing world on its ear in 1963, the big block Chevy engine had been under constant development. The engine was amazingly responsive to tuning, and by 1970, every version of the big block, from 396 to 427 to 454, was a world beater.
The Mark IV Big Block was really based on the Mark II Mystery engine of 1963. It's called the Mystery engine because it was not at that time a production engine. Chevrolet showed up at Daytona in '63 with this new, strange big block for the Daytona 500.
Chevrolet in 1970 produced two big engines, the LS6 and the LS5. Both of those were the 454 engines. The LS6 was one of the epitome of the muscle cars with 450 horsepower, truly one of the most exciting cars ever made.
The 454 block had a bore of 4 1/4 inches and a 4-inch stroke. The LS6 version used a compression ratio of 11.25 to 1, a solid lifter cam, and a Holley 780 to make 450 horses at 5,600 RPM and 500 foot-pounds of torque at 3,200 RPM. The LS6 used every high-performance part in the book: a forged steel crankshaft and a 4-bolt main bearing block, forged pistons, big port heads, aluminum intake manifold, and solid lifter cam. This engine was nearly bulletproof. The running gear was just as indestructible. With the LS6 engine, your choice of transmissions was either the heavy-duty M40 automatic or the Muncie M21 or M22 4-speed and front disc brakes. Other mandatory options included dual exhausts, special rear suspension, and a positraction rear axle. The SS Chevelle's most attention-getting option was the cowl induction hood with its vacuum-operated hood scoop.
When the driver nailed the accelerator, it caused a door in the back of the hood to open. It was placed toward the rear of the hood to take advantage of a high-pressure area at the base of the windshield. It really let the engine breathe fresh air, outside air, as opposed to the heated underhood air, and was meant to improve horsepower. Now, there's some debate as to whether or not it worked, but there's no doubt that it looked impressive.
Chevy crafted a new body for the 1970 Chevelle that was as beautiful as the LS6 was powerful. The body sides were sculpted in a Coke bottle shape, which flared slightly at the wheel openings for the 14x7 rally wheels and F7014 tires. Chevy put plenty of SS badges on the car, from grille to tail, and Chevy's mile-long option list made this interior a plush environment. Instead of relying on wild colors and cartoon gimmicks, Chevy chose to adorn the SS cars with just 2 wide racing stripes on the hood and deck lid. Other than this, the only announcement that this car was something special were the 3